Hello, my fellow gamers! Welcome back to Comfortable Gaming. Please like and subscribe. And today we're doing someone who's a PlayStation owner, his perspective and review of Halo Infinite and my experience with my first ever Halo game. So let's just jump straight into it. Let you guys know what I think of Halo after all these years, knowing about Halo, and what are my thoughts with Halo Infinite and Halo in general. And we're gonna start with gameplay, how the game works, different guns, different modes, and all sorts of things. It plays generally like like Halo. It plays very similar to like the classic shooters of back in the day. It's very smooth, very crisp. I think the way it is. It's not the feel like Call of Duty as smooth. I think and polished as in that level, or as like Destiny. I think Destiny is a very good polished shooter, but it feels very well like a good shooter, like a Doom, just not as fast paced as Doom, along those lines, or like a Counter Strike that's more involved. Obviously, you have your different weapons to your pistol, which I really like. Then you get different variants through the campaign: shotgun, commando, sniper rifle, the usual stuff, rocket launcher. And then you get to the more those banished weapons and things were a little bit confusing. Duelist Blade is amazing. Like the nail guns and skewer, shotguns, pulse carbine, stagger gun, Ravager, like the beam gun, which I really enjoyed. And a lot of those different guns, which I'm not familiar with, were kind of confusing at first how to use. One of the cool things that stand out to me in gameplay wise to Halo was the vehicles, especially as well in multiplayer. It's just, I've never been a vehicle person in shooters. I love Battlefield, but I never really got into tanks as much, or planes let alone. But in this game I really enjoyed it quite a bit. And using the different types of guns and different type of vehicles, it's something for some reason in Halo just works very smoothly. The different variety of enemies and things like that was quite refreshing for me, and just seemed very cool. That it would be a lot cooler to experience this as a co-op option. Big boss fights were very cool as different types of enemies you fight. There were not too many of these huge boss fights, and I feel like we needed more of those in the game, honestly, like these huge difficult monsters you fight. The hunters, of course, were the hardest things you fight for me, which were a very cool thing. That were apparently quite a big thing part of Halo. So you learn a little bit tactics and different things. I just find the gameplay core in the campaign and how everything works is very simple. Not that it's easy sometimes. Not that it's very easy sometimes. It's just I found it very repetitive, and the AI is can be very interesting and can know how to flank you and attack you from different routes. I found the AI a little bit dumb as well sometimes. It seems very much nothing too advanced in gameplay wise compared to other games. It's fairly simple to most shooters, or most old school single player shooters if you played like Quake and Destiny, for example, enemies. The thing that really stood out for me was the cause in the game. Like I said, the Wasp has been my favorite thing to use for in Halo to explore the world and all surrounding area. Once you unlock this thing was very cool. But like I said, the your teammates as well that you find, like this guy just getting killed randomly here. The NPCs in the game are not very designed very well. It's just they're just there, but they don't really do it and contribute too much. They're just there, I feel like, for the environment type of thing. Like they will acknowledge you knowing that you're Master Chief, they look pretty sick, and they do help out now and then, but besides that, they seem very dead in the world. They're just quite dead NPCs, so it's not very anything advanced of gameplay, it just feels 10 years old or 5 years old gameplay wise as the NPCs in the open world. Moving to open world and how the game works as you explore and do type of things. Like I said, once you unlock the Wasp, becomes a lot easier to do a lot of things around the map. Downsides to the open world is it's not that large, but I think it's a really nice adding, just adds more hours to the story, because the world isn't too vast, but there's a fair amount of things to do, to upgrades, to FOB, to the targets, which I found very cool, even though being only 15. But it just adds on to something that the game doesn't feel just 8 hours if you just do the story. So You can come back and do on legendary difficulty, and there's good replay value to unlock certain items and explore a few little secrets around the map, which I found quite rewarding, and random planes attacking you and stuff. So the world doesn't feel as dead, but when you do generally explore it, it doesn't feel anything special, anything to modern gaming standards. But again, it's good. It's I don't want to critique it too much. It's just, but again, this is not a game that's meant to be too much open world. But I'm glad it's there. It just offers the campaign a lot more to do, to the FOB camps, to rescue the different squads, to fight the 15 different guys you find on the map that you need to find, like bounty targets, your spot and core points to upgrade your character, to upgrade your shield, which is very important, the grappling hook, which really helps a lot. And as well your armors for your multiplayer, but you generally get coating. I wish there was so many unique things you can do find in the map for like unique armors, skins for your multiplayer because you played the campaign. I feel like that should have been done a little bit better, because the multiplayer skins that we have at the moment, there isn't much to do except 3 different armor and different coatings. But again, we'll get onto that later in the video. Other than that, it's a very cool looking world. The only also thing for the open world is it's this area here, what you see, mountains and those like square pillars around the world, and different bases you go in, and the underground areas where you part of the story you go a lot to that. And that's the only 2 areas. There isn't much variety, where I kind of felt like Halo was so cool, and I feel like we really needed that. The different vehicles as you use in the open world is very cool, as you find the Scorpion, the Wasp, and all those things, like I said, was done really well. And the way different things you do around the world isn't done badly. I'm just wishing for more content of different, a little bit different looking worlds, different areas that are a little bit more diverse. But other than that, the open world is a lot of fun, and there's decent amount of hours, nothing crazy, and good replay value to come back to multiplayer. I just wish there was a lot of things that unlock stuff for multiplayer from finishing a lot of things on legendary. Or like difficulty wise, legendary, you finish the campaign of kill a certain enemy on legendary difficult in the world, unlocks a very special skin for multiplayer. I think that's a point that's quite missed upon, that they should have done that. I think, in my opinion, would have brought a lot of people playing more, the campaign being more interesting and a reason to do it. And I think that's a kind of a little bit of a missing. They should have initialized the campaign. If they had like skin coatings for the multiplayer, they should have done crazy unique skins. And I just feel like a lot of this game there's just not enough content. The game is really good. It's just, that's how I feel so far. It's just there isn't too many things. But other than that, the world is very cool and very unique to me. And now moving on to story. You start off being attacked by the banished and stuff. So I don't know too well the depth of story of Halo, just to get this straightforward, because I've never played any Halo before besides this one. And I know a lot of people are going to bash me, why didn't you play the other ones first? And I just wanted to experience the newest Halo, what will it feel like, and then see what's the whole hype behind Master Chief. And he's a bona fide badass, that's for sure. And just to see what Halo's really all about. And then if I really like it, I'm going to play Halo Wars, Halo 1, Halo 2, that everyone talks about Halo 2, and experience the story and how Halo really is. But other than that, this was kind of my idea what's going on. You get attacked, and you lose a lot of men, a lot of people, and I think this is the recap of the previous story. I think I could be wrong, but I just wanted to get this video out of just not knowing nothing Halo, and just honest no opinions on it, and see what it is. Now, sorry, moving back on to story wise, I found the story very interesting through the entire world, exploring Zeta, Halo, and just kind of getting into this universe that I've never experienced before, that I've heard so much about. It's a classical action story, I would think. Is just one guy just going in and just messing everybody about. He was beaten at the beginning, and then he rose up and just beat everyone's ass, type of thing. Not as cheesy as like a Schwarzenegger movie type of thing, but very interesting story. I really like the banished as enemies in the game and things like that, and I think the story was done fairly well. Nothing to brag about, like it's the most revolutionary story in a game, but for as a shooter that has multiplayer in it, it's a really decent and a good story, and it kept me interested through all the way to the end. And I found really cool parts with a little bit of twists at the end that I didn't know about, and just a few little things that are really cool and done fairly well in the game, and what you do around And obviously, Echo 216 helps you through the. He's like your journeyman through the story. He's your pilot, and as you meet, as will the and like the hologram of Cortana, which is like yo, she guides you what you need to do. She's some sort of a weapons being built. I think the pacing through the story, the way it progresses and the ways you go, is done fairly well and kept me really interested. I found the Banish very cool enemies and very. I felt really worried. These guys were quite a threat and seemed like a problem that needed to be dealt with, and were quite a problem with different. As you meet the Harbinger later, and I don't want to spoil it again. This is not going to be that video that spoils the whole story type of thing, but it just paces really well all the way to the ending and fighting the different bosses through the thing. The Spartan hunters, which were integrated into story, made it. Oh, these guys are going to chase me now. That was a very cool part through the game as well. And just the whole pacing, how it works, a little bit of open world. It was fairly written well. Again, nothing to brag about, like it's amazing. But for as a shooter, I found the story very engaging and Master Chief's story as it progresses through. And it just ended well for me and quite a satisfying end and an interesting end, and made me really start to fall in love with Halo's world and universe. And just like I said, really done well. Pacing, Master Chief is a great protagonist, bona fide badass, and all in all, a really good story all around. And if I had to rate it, I'll give it like an 8 out of 10 for the story. Just, it was good. It was a really good campaign to enjoy from a universe I've never played, from a franchise that I never played, that kept me. This is quite interesting. Reminded me a lot of Destiny, but I know Bungie made um, Halo before 343 took over. And now I just want to get over and talk about Master Chief for a little bit. It's just he's a bona fide badass, and I think for a franchise to have such a great protagonist over the years, I think Master Chief is a very cool. Even though I like that you never see his face, he's like a Mandalorian from like Star Wars. He's just this figure that don't know too much about, but he's just this guy that just is relentless and just gets the job done. And just there's more to him than just a one-dimensional soldier, which I really like in this movie. As he gets sad, all the things that's happened, doesn't say too much things in the story about what's going on, but he's very impactful. The way his dialogue was dealt with, and him as a character, is absolutely amazing and made me fall in love. Why people loved Halo over the years so much, it's just because he's a great protagonist to have in your franchise, and it makes me think of Xbox. Always you think of Master Chief when you think about Xbox, and he's been a gaming icon for a long time, and it's nice to see him here in his form and playing a Halo for the first time. It's made me like Halo more and him as a character quite a lot. Now moving to the multiplayer side of things, straight away I want to just say there's just not enough content in the multiplayer side, and this is going to be quite a little bit of different to what the campaign and the story was. Is the multiplayer good? Absolutely. Is it fun? Absolutely. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying, like I said, I really been enjoying Halo and enjoying the multiplayer side of things. The issue I'm having is it's just not enough. Of a couple of moves, I know Cyber Showdown was added that I really enjoyed. And all in all, like I said, I'm enjoying the multiplayer. I'm actually having quite a lot of fun. Like I said, I've never played Halo, and just the way you can use vehicles, for me, it just suits me in this game. That's just my preference. The crazy little guns and different game modes. One thing I wished in Halo was that you can be like the Banished. Like if you have a skin to be one of the Banished guys, I think that would be very cool. I know maybe a little bit hard, easier to shoot because you'll be a lot bigger or a little bit too small depending on the race or the type of Banished you choose. But the campaign compared to the multiplayer feels the same, except you're playing with other people. So that's very well designed. A lot of games when you jump in from multiplayer to campaign can feel fairly different. Well, as this game, I think it's done very well, and a lot of people talk about it. And just the way you use shields, different to understand different strategies of different guns, how to use the vehicles. Nothing is overpowered. There's certain guns that are very strong. The energy sword is very overpowered, but I feel like it's a melee weapon. Other than that, the game does feel really good. Just like I said, the lack of content and maybe a little bit more variety in maps. Because I feel like I keep rotating through the same maps and same maps. We need a little bit more maps and a couple of new modes. I know people talk about Infection is a big mode for Halo. I don't know what it exactly is, but it's been like on Reddit, it's been on Twitter, and people have been reading about Halo a little bit, what people are thinking. So I can't really judge because I haven't played Halo to say why is Infection not in the game. But I find it very cool that the game runs this well and there's just such low content and people are playing it. And a lot of things when this game came out is missing, even in the multiplayer side. And still to be quite popular compared to Battlefield and Vanguard. Vanguard was just boring and Battlefield was just terrible this year and just an unfinished broken game, which is really sad to see. And I guess this is the state of gaming in general. These last couple of years is just games coming unfinished, games just launching to grab the money things from companies. Oh, we found we'll fix it along the way. Don't fix it along the way. Make the game how it needs to be, that the game is ready 100%. Because then people will play it more. They will love it. They will even buy more of your microtransactions and skins because they're enjoying the game so much. And that's also another thing moving on to is the lack of skins, like I said. And at the beginning of launch, they were quite pricey. I mean, like, to cost to buy a couple of random skins for the game was very pricey. They did fix that issue and reduce the prices of those things, but it just there's like three armors and different colors variants, and there isn't much uniqueness to what's the progression of playing online. And the problem is when you play on a shooter for a long time and you don't really have progress towards something, a skin, a gun coat, or whatever, some legendary looking thing, it's hard for people to, yeah, you progressing through the battle pass, but you gotta pay for the battle pass. And there's no like personal progression besides the battle pass, which is a little annoying. And all in all, the multiplayer does feel great. I'm really enjoying it, playing, like I said, playing Halo for the first time. It is an experience for someone who's never played Halo. And I'm generally enjoying it. I'm coming back to play the multiplayer. I just wish there was some better progression wise, a little bit more maps to come down a long way. We haven't gotten any new updates, anything new that we're getting so far. And the Cyber Showdown was a nice add. So just a little bit more game modes. Fix a few things that are bugging, which are small things to fix over time with a patch. And just add better progression for skins and ideas what people want to use that makes them want to play the game, and while you're playing that you unlock something cool. Other than that, multiplayer for me runs fun, it's a lot of fun, just needs a little bit more content and just needs a little bit of work on it just to keep people more interested in why they're playing the game. Battle Royale, I wouldn't mind having a Battle Royale. I'm not the biggest fan of those, and Halo's always been a shooter, just an arena shooter. But I mean, other people are wanting too many battle royales nowadays, so it's up to the developer. I wouldn't mind having it. It's not like it could be such a bad thing, as long as it's done well, and people might probably enjoy it quite a lot. Me personally, I'm not, like I said, been big into battle royales. It's not gonna make a huge difference, but it would be nice to have, like I said, a new game mode. And battle royale offers a lot of variety and stuff to the game and stuff as a new mode. Alright, my final verdict with Halo Infinite campaign and multiplayer is it's a really enjoyable game. How was my first experience with a Halo game that I've never played a Halo game? It was a good experience. The multiplayer was a fun experience that I keep coming back to. I do love arena shooters. I've always grown up with Counter-Strike, Modern Warfare games. I've never been a huge fan of the let's just call it the shitty COD versions of Call of Duty. I've always really loved Battlefield as a huge crazy scale warfare. And Halo is a little bit different to those games, and it's really cool. I've also enjoyed Titanfall, and it's very unique to its own, and Halo's always been a big IP. And I'm happy to have finally played a Halo game after all these years and to experience Halo in general. And it's been a really cool experience for me, something that I can see why people have loved over the years, and just a really fun game. And all in all, in conclusion, what I think of Halo Infinite is really cool campaign. I like that they added open world to it. Just added more stuff to do, and all in all, my conclusion was with the campaign is just a few things that, like the skin things that you collect, could have been better. Skin coatings that would have been better to add, things that complement the multiplayer by completing the campaign, like legendary skins, legendary gun skins for completing on harder difficulties, and just added more unique challenges in the open world for you to do that unlocks cool designs and things for multiplayer. Just it need a little bit more better, a little bit more content in the campaign. And the AI I found a little bit stupid. Your teammates or what around the world felt a little bit dumb and dreary and boring. And other than that, it was a fun experience. Multiplayer just needs the content that needs to be there. It's just missing those things, more maps, more modes. Other than that, it's fun, it runs well. I didn't have any major issues with now then a few bugs. Other than that, I just wish I played Halo when they originally came out. When I got an Xbox, should have caved in and gotten a 360 all those years ago. And that's the thing I take from this. I wish I played Halo at those times. Experience, Halo in its glory days, Halo 2. Not that this game is bad, just experiencing the games when they were in the huge hype of Halo I kind of felt like I missed out after playing this game. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys liked this video, enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.